Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year! Can you believe that it's already 2024? Craziness! And today's YouTube Live is addressing the being ready for the perfect storm of 2024. There's a lot to talk about. Before we begin, if you wouldn't mind commenting in the chat, as some of you already have, your first name and where you're from, so I can see you. That would be great. I already saw Liz from New Zealand was the first one on. Hello, Liz, and Pam and Chris, who are here in San Miguel de Allende. And then we have Edmund from Reno. And I have to look down because I cannot see the tiny little screen at the top there. And then Ray and Emily are here from Iowa, and Brigitte from Ontario. Thank you for joining us. I think I saw Annabette from Denmark again. Craziness. Very dedicated. And we have Marty coming in from Colorado, and so are Michael and Mary, also from Colorado. And oh, Jennifer Kingston. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome. And let's see, mention one more person, and Gail from Arizona. Hello, Gail. All right, so there's many, many more of you guys here. Thank you for all saying hello, and now you can all see each other sort of virtually. We'll virtually wave to all of you. So my name is Karen Cheong. Many of you know me already, and some of you don't. So for those of you who are new, I help to catalyze awakening and a rise in human consciousness by releasing people's blocks at what I refer to as frequency level, amplifying your awareness of the divine within so you can recognize and live the abundance and limitlessness of your true nature as infinite, indestructible consciousness. This is your birthright, and the time for humanity to awaken to this possibility is now. And it's like really like now. So, for those of you who are brand new to frequency work and don't know much about it, I can only give a brief overview in the amount of time I have. So, after this, if you'd like to learn more, I'd recommend checking out episodes number 176, which is like a reboot of episode 1, actually, and 154 of my podcast, Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, which is found on this very channel. And like I said, the first two episodes, 1 and 176, are all about the fundamentals of frequency work. And episode 154 is the top 5 most important things about frequency work. And if you're really keen, you could also check out episode 131, where we discuss the top 18 questions we get here at Spherical Luminosity. So today, we're talking about being prepared for the perfect storm of 2024. If you stay to the end after the questions, we're going to be giving an awesome giveaway. At least I think it's awesome. And for the new year, we're celebrating momentum by giving away Living Your Brilliance for February, which is a pretty epic giveaway. So stay tuned for that if you want to be eligible for receiving it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my fabulous co-host, Miss Fiona Malcolm. Ooh, look at that. The power of technology given to us by Christopher Sprague. Nice job, Chris. All right. So I think this is a good topic, Miss Fiona.
It's a little bit like an oxymoron, though. The perfect storm.
Yeah, perfect storm.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah.
So how about we start at what you feel, sense, know, or have an understanding of what might be coming in 2024, relatable to us living our daily lives.
Yeah. So 2024 is going to be, from my perspective, a huge year in terms of the potential of it. And it's a year where there's tremendous expansion, where there is really this movement into this higher level of consciousness in a way that we haven't been able to before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we talk about this, you and I, a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's different?
What's different? But it's like we've finally gotten rid of enough of our crap, enough of our distortion patterns, that we no longer habituate in the same way to those old patterns that give us comfort, that give us that sameness in our lives that we're trying to get away from. There's something within us that is more self-assured, more confident, and almost like a guiding force, really, that's there from our higher selves that is like, okay, you've got this. You've done the work. Now, do you really want to go back to that habituation? You know what it is. So perhaps this time, let's not do that. But you know what I mean? Like we try to escape that usually.
Yeah.
But this year, I really feel like we have the momentum to do that. And there's so much prophesized for this year, like it just in so many different traditions about what the potential is for this year in terms of spiritual growth and really coming into this new way of being, this new awareness that has been talked about for a long time.
I was going to ask you that before we head into the prophecies and you know how they can be relatable. Do you feel or have a sense that we have finally managed to reach that level of consciousness? Now it's there.
Yeah.
It's you know it's pinned. It's there. It's
Yeah.
accessible
Yeah.
to everybody.
Yeah.
But is it finally here? Because
Yeah.
we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, I feel like it really is for more and more of us, and it really depends on your frequency resonance. Like I sound like a broken record, but because it's true, and it's like everything comes down to how high your frequency resonance is.
Yeah.
Which is why mastering your frequency bandwidth is so important. It's
Yeah.
to keep you on the higher end of your bandwidth. That's why we give Living Your Brilliance, so that you can be on the higher end of your bandwidth. Because what I didn't say in my description of this year is the way that this year is it's going to look very polarized, but it's actually different expressions of the same frequency, of the same energetic. So let me just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting, and some of you may have heard me talk about this before, but I'm not super into astrology. Like that's like some people really geek out at it and they love it. That's not really my thing. I did study Chinese astrology many years ago, but sort of briefly. And I'd been feeling this expansion, like I was talking about, and I also have felt this like on the other end, a lot of breakdown, like a lot of destructive chaos, because people who really want to hang on to old habit, old belief, old shoulds, old paradigm, really, are going to struggle this year, because this year is all about change, and it's all about embracing this new awareness of the we.
Yeah.
Of the collective, of it's really a version of the oneness that we have forgotten for so long. And so those that resist that, okay, it's going to be tough this year. It's because it's going to be, there's so much expansion energy,
Okay, so I was going to ask you about that because the feeling of that expansion and that connection to the oneness, or the manifestation of what that looks like at the human level.
Yeah.
Seems to be linked to the bandwidth that we can stay at, the
Yes.
highest bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I think what I'm hearing is, because all the work with the clearing distortions and holding that center like you've been talking about for a long time now, and keeping on clearing, it seems that more people are able to sustain that higher level of frequency bandwidth.
Yes.
And I was wondering if that has allowed us to access this higher consciousness and be more stable in there.
Exactly.
So that more people can
do the same thing.
do the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why a lot of what we experienced last year in terms of the work that we gave, right? So we did the awakening map, navigating the mystery of the void. We then transitioned to spiritual alchemy in Austin, which was about how to transmute chaos into alignment and harmony. And then finally, we seeded the light codes in Peru. All of that work was there and is there for us as a collective and a community to access that work to whatever degree you can. And because you're in the community together, we're all in training to each other, right? Moving up in our resonance. And as you said, we're all making effort in our own unique ways, right? It doesn't really, like whatever you're doing, you're working on yourself because you're part of this greater collective of community. There's more like momentum into which to entrain, and the stability is there for those who are of a higher resonance, because there's more and more of us. It's like you said, more stable in what was new frequencies to us before. So it's so much easier now and so much faster for people who are like brand new coming into frequency work to entrain to it. It's really amazing. And then maintain it, which is actually the critical thing too.
And like you say, I mean, that's one hell of a mastermind.
Yes.
That gets created at that higher resonating frequency bandwidth,
Yes.
right? What can happen?
Yeah, no.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
And I really feel like this year is something, it's a lot more to do with community. Like, and you and I have been talking about this before, right? The expression of the we.
Yeah.
And it's not just in what I've been feeling or you've been feeling. It's in also the astrology. It's interesting because, like I was mentioning, a friend of mine sent me. She's really into Chinese astrology, and she told me that this year's a double wood dragon year.
So what does that mean?
Yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar with Chinese astrology, so there are 12 animals, right? And they each represent a certain kind of energetic, and they are the energy of that particular year or that frequency resonance of that year.
Mm.
And most people will see them on like, Chinese takeout menus, whatever, around Chinese New Year time. They show up or they like show up in fortune cookies or whatever. It's kind of bizarre. But anyway, there you go. But anyway, you'll be familiar with the animals, like the rabbit, the rat, the dragon, the serpent, the boar, the whatever, the whatnots. Anyway, so there's 12 of them. And what most people in the West are not aware of is that each of the animals are actually modulated by one of the 5 elements.
Okay.
Okay. So it takes a 60-year cycle for all of the elements and all of the animals to like pass through completely. That makes
Oh,
sense.
wow.
Yes. So the element very much tempers the energetic and modulates the energetic or the frequency resonance of the animal, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the dragon, as you can imagine, is very fiery. It is a fire sign. And
Yeah.
so wood, especially double wood, like wood feeds fire. It's like
That's a big
it's like,
flame.
oh no, exactly. It's all this fuel. And so it's just like, wow. Right. And so it's all, and so the dragon energy is all about like innovation and big ideas and big dreams and what can we do as a collective and how can we be better together. And it's not necessarily rational at all, but it's really about like this movement into what it is that we can do together. Okay, that kind of thing. It also, and especially because it's so fiery, it also can be expressed as the destruction of things that no longer work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
that makes sense.
yes.
Yeah.
So you have, on the one hand, like tremendous potential for creation, and on the other hand, tremendous potential for destructive chaos. And to me, in the way that I perceive things, how distorted or how clear you are will sort of indicate where on that spectrum you experience this year and how much you hang on to the old things, which is the destruction. People always get very freaked out about destruction. I mean, it's scary, right? Because you have something familiar.
We could call it transmutation.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But in order to experience something new, you have to release what is no longer working. That's
Yeah.
typically how things work. And so even though the destruction is chaotic, it is necessary for something new to come about. So it really, really, really matters this year who you're in community with. It matters who you're masterminding with because, like I said, the spectrum is pretty extreme, right? It'll look like 2 separate things, but it's really the expression of the same thing, just more distorted and more clear, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. There's so much expansion potential. So who you mastermind with really matters. And so I know for some people it's really hard because they feel bad and they don't want to be mean and they don't want to offend people. And I'm just telling you, is it worth it to be like dragged down into the chaos, right? Because some people really are very negative. They like want to hang on like crazy to the way things were and they kind of want to drag down everyone with them. So I'm not suggesting that, everyone is like this because they're not, but we all know people who are kind of like that. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to be masterminding with them
Yeah.
at this time?
Yeah. So, like, from a social point of view, you can socialize, but like you say, with the mastermind, and that's a little bit different, right?
Oh, totally.
Can we break that down a little bit? Because
Sure.
it's a tip that we're given.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you're in a community, you have people you're drawn to, and there are people in your community that you may feel that you can't work with.
Yeah.
And how do we?
That's putting it nicely.
I was being really delicate.
We all know those people.
Yeah. And so, you want to be at your highest frequency bandwidth because the feeling that the expansion and what's possible is, it literally blows your mind.
Totally.
Literally.
Yeah.
Right? It's not figuratively now. It's literally.
Yeah, it will.
Right?
Yeah, it blows apart your mind. Yeah.
And if you're in a mastermind, so what does that mean? What does it look like? How do we make sure that we're in that mastermind?
Yeah. So to me, a mastermind is more intentional, or it can be. Okay. Some people default to masterminds that are unintentional. So because they have to, right? So, like family comes to mind, for example. Or old friends or that type of thing, right? Where it's like it's habitual at this point. There's an expectation that of course you're supposed to be together and that type of thing, right? Okay, it can even happen if you've been in a job for a very long period of time, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So the thing is to cultivate a mastermind, and I'm not suggesting that everybody you know has to be doing frequency work. Okay, so I
Yeah.
just want to make that like super duper clear.
Yeah.
It's about intentionally being sure that you're in community with or in relationship with
Mhm.
somebody who is higher in their frequency resonance,
Mhm.
right? So meaning they're introspective, they're growth oriented, they
Yes.
tend to have a more buoyant, higher frequency resonance sort of naturally. Because it's funny, we have dear friends here in Mexico who are like that and have done zero frequency work and are very buoyant
Mhm.
on a frequency resonance level. So it doesn't mean that you have to be doing frequency work. I mean, that's lovely and helpful and something you can bond over, but it's not required.
Yeah.
But to be finding those people and spending more of your time with them, doing things that uplift all of you, things that you love doing together that are fun, that are growth oriented, that get you outside, that whatever it is that you do that brings joy. Yeah.
And keep your
Frequency resonance up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they're of a higher frequency resonance, their frequency resonance will come up and everyone's gonna be like, yay, our frequency is up together, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by masterminding. It's like everybody feels the resonance going up. It feels good to be with these people.
Yeah.
And then of course, it's to have the discernment that sometimes we are in relationship with people that we enjoy for periods of time in certain social situations. And that's fine. You don't have to be in relationship and masterminding with every single person in your life,
Yeah.
or cultivating that kind of community. You can be like, okay, well, we're having a lovely time together at this dinner, and then we're going to leave, and that will be that. End.
Yeah. So it's actually with intention.
Yeah.
Watching our own frequency resonance.
Yeah.
And how it shifts.
Yeah.
When we're in frequency bandwidth that's higher as opposed to a frequency bandwidth that's lower.
Yeah.
And which one do we ultimately want to be in?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's not just like it's all about you and like what are you receiving from the relationship.
No.
It's also about like what are you giving to the relationship.
Yeah.
And how can you help each other? It's not, and that's the lovely thing about community that's of a higher resonance. It's like everyone brings their best.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm here being whatever my best version is today, however that looks, even if it's a little bit messy. And if it is messy, I communicate that. And the other person's like, okay, messy today. I'm gonna give you your space.
Yeah.
You do that when you're ready. Come on back.
Yeah.
I mean, that type of thing.
And is there anything I can help you to
You
facilitate that?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to rescue you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
But is there something I can help facilitate?
Yeah, exactly. So that is what I mean by higher level of mastermind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's to be really aware of your relationships this year, because your relationships very much can govern your own sense of where you are in your frequency resonance. It can give you your most potential for growth. I think that's really important. I feel like this year it's really important to follow your intuition in terms of what is expensive for you.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of fear mongering this year. Okay. There's always fear mongering. Okay. It's just not like a news flash, right?
Yes.
When we have these periods where you have this tremendous potential for expansion, it's interesting to me to see when control sources want to come up and like drag that down. It's like,
Yeah.
and then, bring it down.
Yeah.
And to be mindful of that. Now, I'm not saying that to like evoke fear, okay, because that's not the point. It doesn't empower anybody. Fear just drops your frequency resonance like a stone, like I've said many times before. But to be mindful of your social media, to be mindful of your media, to be mindful of the stories you're hearing from friends and watching, being aware of how much they impact you.
Yeah.
It's really important to be aware of fear mongering and what it's doing to your frequency resonance, and then following your intuition for what will bring your resonance higher and you'll know it because it'll make you a little bit nervous a little bit, you know what I mean? And it's your mind that's scared that will say like, you shouldn't do it because of this and that and the other thing and whatnot. So just to be mindful of those patterns, because like I said, this year can be expressed in two very different ways.
Yeah.
And so the old kind of habitual heavy stuff is there and can be easily like turned away from because we're being supported to turn away from it, but it requires mindfulness. Like we do have to do something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just, so I think that's an important thing to be aware of your own fear. Where is it coming from? To keep your frequency resonance high.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the tips.
Yeah.
So coming back to the perfect storm,
Mhm.
what else do you sense and see? Like, is there anything else that you've heard through the grapevine that
Yeah.
might be significant
Yeah.
that's going to happen this year?
Yeah. And so absolutely we'll answer that. And what I'll say is just one more thing that I just forgot to mention.
Mhm.
Part of what is so important about the San Miguel de Allende retreat that we have coming up,
Yeah.
expressing the light codes, mastering quantum embodiment, it's to come fully into this aspect of ourselves where this habituation we have with certain things, especially those deeper distortion patterns, if it's scarcity or relationship or whatever, it's really about like, okay, no, there's no certainty anymore. There's none of this habitual slate. We need to move away from that so that we can be in a different kind of level of embodiment, a
So
higher
basically,
level.
not referencing an old timeline
Exactly, an old timeline, an old habit, an old way
Uh-huh.
of thinking, an old distortion pattern.
and embracing something that we don't quite fully understand yet.
Exactly.
That's what the workshop's about.
In part, yes.
In part.
To be in that space of the not yet known of the quantum. We don't yet know it. It's so new for us.
Yeah.
So that's why that San Miguel de Allende retreat is so important. And once you embody it,
Mhm.
just like what's happening with Spherical Luminosity as a whole, once you guys embody it, then it ripples out, right? And it affects all the people that you influence. It's kind of amazing. So I just wanted to mention that because people
Yeah.
are like, that sounds really great that I'm not supposed to habituate, but like, how exactly do I do that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the how. So
Yeah.
I've just forgot to mention that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But back to your question.
yeah,
So
significance. Any more significant
significance,
things that you
yeah.
want to share with us?
Yeah. So a lot of people have been feeling really excited about this year,
Mhm.
and they don't know why. They're just like, it's like, wow, this expansion's about to come.
Mhm.
Okay, especially for those of you who are like sensitive and have been doing more work and releasing more of your distortion, you can feel like the anticipation of that. And this is a year where my feeling is a lot of what has been talked about in different traditions, like for example, the Christ consciousness, the Christ consciousness grid.
Yeah.
Part of what's coming this year is for us to like really access it and embody it,
Mhm.
whatever that means. It's coming sort of later in the year, so that's a new thing that's going to be seeded through us.
Yep.
This there's this other potential in this first quarter. You just shared this with me
Yeah.
recently, and I'd heard about this, but I think you were saying that there was something. I don't know why I'm talking for you, but like, but you were
'Cause you're
saying.
better at it.
I think you were saying something like, and it was so fascinating that you brought this up. There's like this red dwarf
Mhm.
planet, star thingy, whatever it is.
That does a cycle.
Yeah, it's cycle around the sun, right? Or
Yeah.
somewhere goes cycles somewhere in the universe
Yes.
and comes back, and it's every 13,000 years that it
Yeah.
cycles and comes back into like
In our orbit.
orbit
Yeah.
with Earth. And you know what's fascinating? I'd been thinking, I hadn't thought about this for a while, but there's a Hopi prophecy that we learned about
Mhm.
like when we like
12?
12 years ago.
Yeah.
Fascinating, 12 years, right? That
Mhm.
cycle. Where I remember hearing from a Hopi elder that their prophecy is when the red star appears,
Mhm.
ascension would happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that red star is that star.
Yeah, when you said that, when I was sharing, and then you said that, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's right."
Right.
Yeah.
The red star.
So, yeah, because I'd had heard this from several sources this
Yeah.
week in particular. I thought the timing is amazing.
Yeah.
That they expect it in the first quarter of the year. I
Year.
mean, whether that happens or
happens.
not, whether we'll visually see it or not,
Yeah,
who knows?
or what it will look like in form.
Mhm.
But I was like, when you told me that, I got goosebumpy because I was like,
Yeah.
it's starting to like be in form. And
Mhm.
that's the exciting thing about this year. It's starting to be in form.
Yeah, it's not out there
There
somewhere
somewhere.
that's being spoken about for
Yeah.
decades upon decades. It's actually tangible,
Yes.
right?
It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like very like now, as
Yeah.
opposed to like in like
Yeah,
3 years
we
now.
kept saying, 2 years time. 3 years. And it's like, oh, it's here. Uh-oh.
Exactly.
I hope I'm
Yeah,
ready.
exactly. And then that's why I think also this year for me, because it's such creative potential. As humans, one of the things that we're also going to be working in San Miguel de Allende is we want potential. We want to embody it, but we've been told so often to be afraid of it. Be careful what you wish for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh no, you shouldn't ask for that. It's too much. You know that,
Don't be greedy.
yeah, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so there's this fascinating relationship with actually embodying greater potential that we're afraid of, that we've been conditioned to be afraid of. And I find that really interesting. And it has more to do with the not yet known, the lack of certainty of it. But to me, this year that's why it's so much about fear. Because the thing is, remember, it's all about creation potential. If you are in fear, you will create more of it. So the thing is, watch where it is in your life and where it is in your patterns so that you can release it and create and be okay in the on the unknown, the not yet known. It's like, okay, I don't know what it's going to look like. And I trust that I've done the work and I'm centered enough in myself and I'm aware of my connection to pure source
Yeah.
that all that matters is this present moment.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And allow that moment, this present moment, to expand within, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm aware that we're talking and we could keep talking
Yeah,
because you know what we're like.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm betting that these lovely, fine people have questions.
Yeah.
Oh, and do we have to do a hashtag thing?
Oh, yeah. So we'll do that at the end. So after the questions, okay, before the GFC, we'll do the giveaway of the February Living Your Brilliance, which is like a super awesome giveaway. So we're going to start, however, with a few minutes of questions because everybody wants to know what's going to be happening this year or that type of thing. And the more, the more people that would benefit from your question, the more likely I'm going to answer it. So, I mean, if it's very, very, very specific only to you, then we will leave that to the end. Okay. So, if you have questions, put question in a caps or question mark, question mark, question mark, and then the question. And then we'll see if there are any. And if there are, then I will answer them. But since since we're waiting,
I'm just such a great co-host.
I
ask all the right questions.
Maybe they can't type very fast.
Maybe we've got a really,
Maybe we've answered everything you could possibly know about the perfect storm of 2024, which would be amazing. So, okay. Well, I don't know that there are any questions since we're at like this little pause. So we're going to do the giveaway and then I'm going to move into the GFC. Yeah. So for the giveaway, if you just write hashtag LYB, okay, no other, I want this or hi, I'd love to get it, hashtag LYB, just hashtag LYB or the computery thingy won't recognize it. This is like very advanced instruction. Okay, so don't forget hashtag LYB if you want to be considered for the free giveaway. And we're going to just give you a couple more minutes here to do that so that we can catch all of you. The GFC, as you're all typing hashtag LYB, is going to be on not only giving you more momentum, but more the momentum of this year. Okay, so that you're in alignment with it and that you're moving with it, and also to like sharpen your own sense of discernment because discernment this year is important given the amount of expansion. Because it's very easy when you get into this like all this potential that you're like a magpie. You're like, oh, glittery thing over here, glittery thing over there, and then you get distracted, right? So it's about like that's why frequency work is so critical because it's about holding your center. Right. And so to have this discernment of like, okay, what truly will uplift me? What will truly allow me to rise in my frequency resonance? How am I going to use this time to the best of my advantage? How can I serve my community to the best of my ability, however that looks for you, whether your community is your family, your community is like your friend group, your work group, larger group, whatever it is. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I also think too when we're operating it from that place, the discernment as well is when the information comes in, right? You know, when you get that illumination of certain things or that synchronicity that happens.
Pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention.
Yeah.
Don't default to the old, like you were saying, self-doubt, low self-worth. Oh no, that can't be true. Or whatever.
Or maybe I need like, it's funny. I've said before, if things show up in threes, pay attention, especially if it's in a short period of time, because typically that's like a hello, pay attention to me, right?
Right.
And some people are like, well, what if I only have two? But it happened in a short period of time. I'm like, well, listen to it. Right? You know? So the thing is, it's good. It's not like a hard and fast rule, but it's like notice the synchronicities around you, which means being present and centered in your body, because so often people just space out and they get so distracted by whatever's happening on their phone or whatever that they're not paying attention. So really, this is a year about discernment, community, awareness of your own fear, and expansion. Okay, so we've done the hashtag LYB. Okay, have you noticed how we bought you guys some time? All right, we're gonna do, We have one quick question before we do the giveaway. Yeah, I'm going to answer the question. Okay, so could health issues be holding us back and resonating higher? Yes, especially if you're not in physical coherence, the more coherence you are in physically, the better you're taking care of your body, the more in coherence you can be, because, of course, it's not just your spiritual aspect. You have, if you learned anything about, if you've ever explored coherence mastery, which is all about creating coherence between the spirit body and the physical body and the space in between, that is, will give you the most momentum. It doesn't mean you have to be in perfect health. I just want to make that clear, but it means that you're doing things to help yourself come more physically into alignment and taking accountability for some of those things, whether it's, and I don't know you, so whether it's through diet or through movement, through different practices that can help you, self-care modalities, whatever it is for you. It's not, and the thing is that for your physical body, for some people, especially if they're accelerating very fast in terms of their frequency resonance, if your physical body is not being taken care of, you will not accelerate at the same rate because you can't integrate those higher level frequencies, even though you want to. So yes, it can. Yeah. And also doing frequency work will oddly help to clear up those physical things as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, because I think sometimes when you do have a physical issue, you focus on the physical issue
Yeah,
all the time
exactly.
instead of, okay, it's there
Yeah.
and we need to do something with it.
Yeah.
But focusing on my frequency is more important.
Important.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And what can I do even though I'm having this physical difficulty to raise my frequency resonance? Because when that starts to happen, then things start to reorganize in the physical for
Yeah.
the physical thing to resolve.
That's right.
So it's to remember what comes first, which happens to be things on frequency level first. Remember that happens first, and then the
Yeah.
physical realigns around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that's a helpful answer. Okay, so all right, you're welcome. We're going to do the Living Your Brilliance giveaway. Do, 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 do. I feel like I should sing. We are now going through. Ooh,
Oh, no.
what happened? Oh, still going. Still going. The winner is Karina K. So, congratulations, Karina, on access to Living Your Brilliance for February. It's going to be an awesome month because we're also giving the San Miguel de Allende retreat in February. So that's a really great month to be receiving. And for you, Karina, if you wouldn't mind, actually, not wouldn't mind, if you could please write in to info@sphericalluminosity.com and just let us know that you are the lucky winner of tonight's draw so that we can hook you up with the February Living Your Brilliance, which won't be for a couple months, but you will receive it. Okay. All right. So we are going to get cracking into the GFC right now. Like I said, to give you more momentum, to bring you into alignment with the momentum of this year, which is massive. Okay. And to also bring in some of that discernment that I mentioned. So I'm just going to shift for a moment and put on a different microphone because, Chris is thoughtful and he knows that my voice drops when I give GFCs and it's harder for you to hear and it makes the GFC recording worse. So I'm just putting this all on so you guys can get a better GFC sound. How are we doing? Can you hear me just fine? Yes? Yeah, am I on? Yes? Okay, great. All right, wonderful people. So congratulations again to Karina, and we're going to move right into the group frequency calibration now that I'm all mic'd up. All right, here we go. Settling in. Let's rise together. Becoming aware of your bodies, please. And as you become aware of your body, becoming aware of the weightiness of your body as it settles into whatever is supporting you. noticing your breath. And as you notice your breath, allowing it now to become more full, to expand, to take up more room in your body. Yeah. And to take up more time, allowing it to be more at ease. Good. Bringing your attention now, please, to the very center of your heart space, in the center of your chest and your nipple line, deep within the body. Bringing hands or fingers to this spot to help to anchor your physical focus. If that is distracting for you, don't do it. But if it's helpful, please go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and ask ourselves the question: how can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And that question, again, for those of you who are new, is how can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And as many of you know, as you ask yourself that question, your higher self responds by quickening your own frequency resonance. So you initiate your own rise in frequency resonance. It's very important. So as you do that, it's like you're taking a running jump. I'm going to catch you on the top end of your jump. Pull your frequency resonance up from wherever it began, or said differently, your vibrational level. Good. Being aware of, imagining, sensing, or feeling a brilliance from deep within that is expanding in all directions around you, if it hasn't already. And some of you might be feeling a lot of heat running through your body or tingliness. Some of you might be feeling really a little bit sleepy. Some of you might be feeling nothing, and that's totally fine. And if you can, imagine, sense, or feel, or be aware of the brilliance of the field of the oneness. All around you, running through you. There we go. Good. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring you into greater alignment in the 0 point.
And then we're going to bring you into greater coherence. Okay? The greater your coherence, the faster you can integrate higher level frequencies, and the faster your physical reality reorganizes around you, and the more change you can feel and experience. So first, bringing your attention to the heart space and right into the center of the solar plexus. Your solar plexus can be found between your belly button and the base of your sternum, which is that big, thick bone in the center of your chest, where your ribs meet in front of your body. So in that space between these 2 points, right in the center, now some of you may be tempted to have your mind wander or notice that your mind is wandering. Really doing your best to bring it back to this space. If it's helpful for you to move really slowly as you do this, that's totally fine. There we go. Mhm. Good. And now bringing your attention, please, to your entire brain and the pineal gland within your brain. Okay, so your pineal gland, for those of you who are new, is a sphere the size of an eyeball right in the center of your brain. Okay, so just imagine that right in the center of your brain and your brain all around it. Your brain is the projector of the reality. It receives how to render your reality through your spirit body. So first we need to align your brain and then bring it into coherence with your heart space and then the 8 original cells. So just a moment, brain first. Now, some of you may feel tingly. You may feel like almost like an achiness in your brain or this kind of like odd sensation that you're not really sure what it is. That's okay. Our brains are often not in coherence. So releasing the distortion that keeps it. There we go. Out of coherence. Oh, yep. And now bring your attention also to your heart space. So here we go. Brain, pineal gland, heart space, right in the center of your chest and your nipple line. And as you're aware of all of these 3 different spaces, creating coherence between them. So you may sense them start to harmonize or feel like they come into alignment. Or perhaps you hear and you can feel or hear these spaces come into coherence, into harmony. Some of you will just know that they have. Okay, so whatever works for you, you can also imagine it. Hmm. Good. Yep. And adding in one more point, imagining, sensing, or feeling an inch within your body above your perineum. Your perineum is at the base of you, between your anus and your genitals. Okay, so right at the very base of you. An inch within the body. So bringing all 3 points into coherence. Yes. And if you can be lightly aware of your spirit body, a sphere at arm's length all around you, that would be great. So if you can't hang on to all of these different things with your mind, it's okay, let it go, and just be aware of your heart space and your spirit body. Hmm. Good. Becoming aware now, please, of the inside of your lower ribs. Just as a note before I continue, some of you maybe feel pressure in your ears, okay, or you might feel certain things. That's your body coming into alignment, okay? So just in case you're perceiving that. So as we're here within the inside of your lower ribs, this has to do with discernment and resolve. So I'm going to amplify resolve, but it is your choice. Okay. So this is the resolve to follow your discernment. What you know intuitively is of a higher frequency resonance for you. And clarity, where there is fear or a drop in frequency resonance, even in relationships where you prefer not to see it. So, amplifying clarity and discernment. Releasing this rule set and expectation around being polite, appropriate, also releasing obligation and self sacrifice. It does not serve anyone if you're just joining the ranks of those with low resonance. Doesn't serve them, doesn't serve you, doesn't serve the all. And for a little subgroup here, we're going to release this fear of hurt feelings. I'm not suggesting that you become a callous jerk, okay? Didn't say that. But sometimes we assume that we will be doing something that will cause hurt feelings, but you don't actually know. So I'm not suggesting don't be mindful. I'm suggesting more open, direct conversation. Here we go. Yeah. And then bringing your attention to the back of the neck along your spine. Not everyone is going to be particularly supportive of you. If you have people in your life who want to hold a certain frequency resonance, that's fine. They can keep that certain frequency resonance. It's great. And you can have yours. So I'm just releasing this fear of disappointing others or not conforming or loss of that relationship. Releasing. Now, a number of you are much more okay with this. Some of you are really not. Depends on who you are. So for some of you, this is going to feel more intense than it is for others. And for some of you, it's in particular relationships that this is painful. Softening even more into this space, please. And if softening doesn't mean anything to you, imagine dissolving or dropping into this space. Good. Excellent. Bringing your attention, please, to not only that back of that neck along the spine, but also the heart space, and right in either your womb, if you are female, or within the pelvis or the pelvic area, if you are male. Okay? Mhm. So this has to do with releasing the lack of trust in self to be able to ride the momentum of this year. They're going to screw it up some way, or you're not strong enough, or you're not going to be able to, or you're going to lose your focus, or something's going to happen where you screw it up, or whatever. So let's release that. Now, for some of you, you trust that you will. And for those of you who are already here in this place where you don't know how, you just know you will. So for you, really increasing your capacity to be in flow with this momentum. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bringing your attention to the back half of the brain and the heart space all the way down to the base of the groin. For all of us, deepening surrender, to not only the momentum, but these guiding forces that we have. Okay, higher self, pure source, all that good stuff. Hmm. There we go. Imagining, sensing, feeling a really beautiful, brilliant midnight blue that expands through your center all the way out in all directions around you. Yeah, I'm bringing your attention to your heart space. So I'm releasing lack of trust in this new frequency resonance that you can be in, which is really high in resonance. It's very expansive. It's joyful. For some of you, you don't feel like you deserve it. Some of you don't know what the hell it is, so you're scared of it. Some of you resist it because you don't feel like you should be able to experience it. So we're just going to release that. And then I'll just amplify it for a bit. Some of you have lineage patterns that say you're not enough yet. Mhm. Really good. Amplifying this higher order frequency so you can start to become familiar with where you are going. For some of you, you'll recognize it. Yeah. Bring your attention now, please, to that xiphoid process just beneath the base of the sternum and about 3 inches or 7 centimeters directly beneath it towards the belly button. clearing out the pain body. Because as many of you know, your pain body has a memory of you before the frequency work was done. So this just allows you to inhabit or be the higher frequency resonance version of you more quickly. I mean, you still have to integrate, but it happens more quickly. It just takes a couple of seconds. Nice. Everyone take a big breath in, holding it for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling with sound. Holding your breath out for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing normally whenever feels good to you. Just being here and enjoying this space. Nice. And when you're ready, blinking your eyes open, looking at something inanimate. All right, guys. I'm wishing you a very happy 2024. Well, actually, happy is kind of lame. Let's call it epic 2024. And if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, if you've enjoyed this YouTube live, that would really help us out. All right, guys. I look forward to how our paths cross next. Bye for now.